Hey everyone, welcome to a new moment. And today in this video, I'm going to show you or share with you the one thing that I did in my life that changed everything in my life. On the spiritual path, we have so much that we come across. We have so many practices that we can get involved in. There's so many paths and lineages with spirituality, religion, even just metaphysics and all that kind of stuff. But there are some things that are consistent across the board, and there are some things that are unique to each path that kind of help us manage what path is a good path for us. You know, we're all individuals. We all have our own kind of unique perspectives on life. We all have our own backgrounds and everything like that. So for each of us, you know, some paths might align with us more than others. However, there's a few things that are consistent among all the paths of spirituality or religion or whatever it is that are really valuable and really important. And that's what we're going to talk about today in this video. So in my own journey, I had practiced meditation for 10 years before this one moment, this single sort of act or this single inner shift that came forward for me, that came through, that was really the game changer for me when everything really started to change and really ascend towards a greater way. Before that, you know, I had been meditating, been reading books on Zen, on you know, some of the New Age kind of stuff, sacred geometry. I was doing breath work at the time. I started doing this around 19 years old. Was just reading books and kind of teaching myself and practicing everywhere I could and anywhere I could and doing the best that I could. And it was helpful and it was great. And the way I used to describe meditation was that it's always like hiring a librarian for my thoughts. You know, nothing really changed, nothing really shifted so much at this time. However, I felt more clear and organized about what was going on inside. So I had awareness, which is like a huge step. But again, 10 years, not a whole lot changed. I was still acting in very destructive ways. I was an alcoholic. I was violent. I was angry. I was depressed. It was like such a mess. At the same time, if I didn't have those things, who knows what would have happened? I don't know if I'd be here, sitting here talking to you today about this stuff. I survived that era probably because of the few little practices that I wasn't even doing exactly right. I didn't have a teacher. I didn't have guidance. However, at the same time, it was still potent enough. It still gave me just enough to make it through the hardest times of my life, about a decade. But there was a single moment that I had, and this was, I was about 26 years old or something like that. I'm 39 now. And it was right after the second time I got arrested for assault, where I finally started to acknowledge that I'm the problem. I'm my own problem. I'm the issue if there's a problem with life or the world, it's me. I had to finally get humble enough, or finally just get real enough. And instead of blaming everybody out there, I'm like, oh, well, that guy deserved it. So that he got what he deserved, you know? And meanwhile, I'm going through the court system like, well, this is happening to me. It sucks. It's horrible. So I finally got real with myself. And in that, opened the space for this one thing that I'm sharing with you today, which is just a huge, committed, super sincere crying out and surrender to the divine. And the way that it showed up for me, I was totally distraught. And actually, give you a little bit more of the story. After the second time I got arrested for assault, I moved in with my best friend, and who was trying to help me out. You know, he was an ex-Marine, and he had a hard time in the Marine Corps, and I was one of the few friends from high school that stayed in touch with him and supported him through, you know, his journey in the Marine Corps. That was a tough journey for him. And, you know, so he kind of like reciprocated that. You know, I told him what I was going through in my life, and I moved in with him. We lived together for a while, and we didn't live together long until we had a huge falling out. We had a huge brawl. It was the biggest, probably most vicious fight of my life, violent encounter that I had been in my life. We were We were rolling around on the ground, you know, gouging each other's eyes out. He threw me down a flight of stairs. It was a mess. It was a brutal, brutal brawl. We both made it out pretty good, you know, considering all of that. But at the same time, it was revealed to both of us we were both too much of a mess to be together. But it was after that moment, huge fight with my best friend, that I was like, I have to stop. Something needs to stop and change. And up until this point, I've been trying to guide my own life. I've been trying to control my own life. I've been chasing my desires, and I was going after everything that I thought would be good for me, you know, and living by principles, living by standards and ideals that I thought were good, that I thought were supportive. You know, I thought having these hard ideals, even about violence, I justified it, you know. I had this whole justification of being violent towards other people when they deserved it, you know. And finally, after this moment, I was like, this is just such a mess, and I can't do it. I'm either going to die or I'm going to go to jail. So something needs to change. And so I cried out. I had a distraught moment, literally crying, and literally I went outside to the open sky and prayed, and I cried out loud, God, if you're real, if there is a God, if there's any kind of force in the universe that is divine, holy, benevolent, all-powerful, if there is such a thing in existence, take my life. I give up, because I'm just screwing this whole thing up. I'm just making a huge mess out of my life, please. So if there's anything out there, I want to know you. Show yourself to me, and you can take my life. Take it. I'm done. And this is the moment that shifted everything for me. And this is the moment that proved firsthand that there is a supreme power. There is something listening, that life itself is intelligent and supreme and divine and benevolent. And this crying out was like spinning my compass finally towards true north. This moment was finally the moment where my whole system, my whole being, every layer of my being aligned with not only divinity, but with my destiny. And then everything since that point, up until now, and continuing onward, and continuing in magnifying in greatness my life now, and since then, has been a profound progression of deepening in spirit, deepening in lovingness, deepening in abundance, in mysterious ways. Absolutely incredible things have unfolded throughout my life to remind me consistently, as I stay with it, as I stick with this mood, as I stick with this making a priority of my life, my own spiritual life, my own spiritual endeavor, my own seeking over everything else. Everything else. My entire existence is rooted in spirit every single moment. And what's important about that is it doesn't mean I neglect any other aspect of life, but that is what drives me through all the other aspects of life. Everything that I endeavor in, whether it's worldly things. Now I just became a father, so I'm fathering through that movement of spirit. I'm allowing that spirit, I surrender to that spirit to move me as a father, as a husband, as a friend, as a son, as a child to my parents, and whatever else may arise in my life, even in financial endeavors. I sit with that spirit, and I allow that spirit to inspire what my actions should be in the world. You know, because it's easy to get tied up in the mind. And this is really the moral of the story, is no matter how convincing my thoughts that justify certain types of actions, no matter how convincing my thoughts are about it, doesn't make them right, doesn't make them good. This is the greatest probably struggle on the spiritual path, is discernment of which thoughts are guided by spirit and which ones are guided by ego. This is one of the greatest things that we can tap into and tune into. But the bypass for that is exactly what I'm talking about today. And my message is, and has been since then, I've been so motivated to share this, and I'm so excited to be here. I'm so excited you're here watching this video today, because this has become a huge part of what my purpose is here. And maybe it's yours too. But to share the message of make your spirituality the highest priority in your life. And everything aligns with that. And revolves around and evolves you into living your highest good, your highest joy, your highest abundance. All of everything that you want aligns with this. The essence of your spirit that's inside, the divinity that's inside of you, the essence of that is an absolute harmony for your life and a radiance of that harmony in the life that you influence outside, in the outside world that you're a part of, in the world. It's profound. This one seed aspect or quality or ideal that you can plant inside of yourself or embody in your life is this seed of what Jesus said is, thy will be done, Lord. Not my will, but thy will. What he's saying is, I give up my ego thoughts. I surrender the ego, the selfish thoughts that come up within me. It's not to say I've gotten rid of them. I haven't even mastered them. They're just there. They may dissolve over time as I renounce them and don't feed them anymore. They get quieter and quieter as they get more and more distant from my attention. But I remain anchored. I remain in power, moved by the divine spirit, the supreme benevolence of all existence, the source of all existence. Everything else in my life is aligned and harmonized with that. So this is a huge part of my journey. There's much more to go into. I mean, this is just the beginning. But at the same time, my message is to encourage, don't wait till you hit bottom before you activate yourself in this, before you make this a priority in your life. This is my message. Because you can say that the suffering that we experience in our lives is what we need to wake up. We suffer because we're ignoring the truth. That's what ignorance is. Ignorance. That's what that is. We ignore the truth. The truth is inside, whispering to us all the time. And when we have great sorrow and great tragedy in our life, it's like that whisper gets loud because we're not paying attention. This is what I can testify to in my own life, is all the greatest struggles in my life was this voice of divinity inside trying to get my attention. And when I ignored it, that period of time where I said I was meditating and doing some breath work and practicing, I was chanting mantras at this time too. You could say this was me like starting to like kind of look over if it's about like pointing your gaze towards spirit. I was just kind of like with my eyes, just like looking over to the side, just like a little bit, instead of a full turn, you know, and this moment of surrender was like a full turn and like sprint towards God or divinity or enlightenment, or whatever you want to call it. But the moments I started to really, when I kind of just started glancing over, things started to get worse in my life actually, because spirit was calling me in a powerful way. I have a purpose in this world, and so do you. We all do, especially on a spiritual level. Especially on a spiritual level. If you're called to it, you're chosen, you're ready, you're ripe. And your life is meant for grand things. No matter what it looks like in the world, your life is meant for grand things if you're attracted to spirituality. You have a high purpose on this planet. And it's an honorable thing to show up to. I show up in honor every day I'm alive. Not because I survived, you know, the trials that I had to go through to burn my arrogance, to burn my ignorance, all the stuff I had to go through to cleanse. You could say suffering is what it feels like to clean your spirit. Suffering is what it feels like to evolve. Suffering is what it feels like to become enlightened. There's an inevitable thing because the ego attaches and clings to its ideals, to its ways, to its principles, to its concepts, to its conditioning, to its selfishness, to its identity. And so when that starts to dismantle, and when spirit starts to call you home, the ego fights. And I can honestly say that that's what suffering is. That's what suffering was for me. And if I suffer now, moving on, I know that that's what it is. If I start to feel depression or anger kind of like peek back into my life, I know that's why. I know it's because I'm in my ego. I know it's because I'm putting my attention on ignorant things. And I know it means I'm ignoring the spirit. I'm starting to turn away from the path. I'm starting to turn away from divinity, from God. I know that that's happening when I suffer. That's my cue and turn right back. So that's the journey from that point. It's not about falling backwards. It's not about messing up or making mistakes. There's no mistakes. It's just as soon as you can, as soon as you possibly can, turn back onto the path. Am I being selfish? I'm suffering. I'm suffering. I'm being selfish if I'm suffering. If I'm suffering, I'm being selfish, or I'm ignorant of my true nature. I'm acting, I'm thinking in ways that are out of alignment with my journey, with my spiritual destiny. So I hope this helps, friends. I hope this supports you in your path and your journey. If you got something out of this video, please hit the like button, the subscribe button. There's lots more to come. There's lots more there. And we'll keep moving up the mountain together. I'm so excited for this journey and to share it with all of you. Many blessings and namaste, friends.